Empowering relationships has been a bit of a passion of mine over a 20-year period, and I guess it came out of the ashes of 2 failed marriages that I had, and what I learned about myself and the world through those experiences, and how I've personally turned around my relationship history to now be in a very strong, very nourishing and enabling relationship that's lasted for 11 years to date. And so there's lots of tools, lots of techniques and ideas for people to be able to do things in a way that perhaps we didn't learn when we were young, but they're ways that are based on a spiritual paradigm, that we can all be empowered, that we can be authentic, and that we can have fabulous relationships built on trust and self-respect, through which both parties to the relationship can flourish in their lives. A lot of the things that are dealt with in the book are how I climbed out of having gone through a very painful divorce. My first marriage I found very difficult. I didn't feel empowered, and I made a lot of mistakes. I think that if I knew then what I know now, that marriage probably would have worked. But I didn't, and that's history, and that's fine. But it's just nice to know that you don't have to keep banging your head against a wall, and you don't have to keep making the same mistakes that you might have once. I actually hope that the sorts of skills that are combined together in this book will one day be just a natural part of school education, that we'll all learn how to be peacemakers. How do you negotiate your way through difficult situations? How do you deal with bullies? How do you deal with people who criticise you and nag you all the time? How do you deal with people who seem to want to persecute you? How do you deal with people who just fundamentally don't agree with you? How do you find your way in the complexities of modern life? And so this book has a lot of answers, I think, and it's very practical, it's very down to earth, and I think it's very readable. So I hope people will enjoy it, get a laugh every now and again, as well as feel very uplifted by the content. But for me, the very number one thing that I've learned, and that's been probably the hardest thing, has been how to not be a victim. And I think that when I was a younger person, I wasn't very confident, and I always felt that I had to please everybody else. And I seemed always to be being victimised by other people's behaviour and what they were saying and what they were doing. And it didn't ever occur to me back then that that had anything to do with me. It always seemed to be to do with them. And in that way I felt very disempowered, because short of controlling their behaviour, there was nothing I could do. And so what I've learned through my spiritual path has been how to turn all that around and how to reclaim my power, how to know that I am capable of dealing with difficult people, difficult situations. And let's face it, life is difficult sometimes, life is complex, and it's not enough now to have black and white answers to problems. Now we need to know how to be in a negotiation with others. How is it that we can bring very diverse ways of living into harmony? And this book is filled with tips and techniques for you to do that. You don't have to have any particular religious philosophy to benefit from reading this book. I think that the ideas are a fairly universal application, and I think that people from all kinds of different walks of life and different faiths will find something of value in the book. And if there is something that you think, oh, that's not the way my religion teaches it, then just skip that chapter and just read the next chapter. Because you'll find that there are many, many tools, not just one tool in this book. So there's something for everybody. I mean, it deals with things from the virtues. Virtues pervade every religion that I've ever heard of. But how do you employ them? How do you utilise them? How do you make it practical? That's what I'm talking about. We talk about prayer in the book. Well, that's universal. We talk about self-respect and respecting others. Universal themes. So I think that you'll find that people of all different types are going to enjoy this book and find it practical. It's a very lived-in book.